What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Flock of Seagulls, and we're back to conclude their 1995 album, The Light at the End of the World. And the last song on the record is Seven Seas, which is a phrase that goes back, I think, to ancient Sumeria. It was used by ancient Greek writers, so it's been around since antiquity, right up into modern times, including used notably by Annie Lennox in Sweet Dreams. But yes, the idea of all the world's oceans, all the known seas, and thus it has often been used to indicate going far and wide, traveling and exploring the world over. So I do wonder whether it will have a similar meaning here. At the very least, I will be on the lookout for any indicators of meaning, literal or figurative. Let's hear it. This is A Flock of Seagulls. The song is Seven Seas, and it's the last track on their 1995 album, The Light at the End of the World. Wow. Incredible, and it finished with a gong. Yeah, so it is an instrumental piece, so at best we can interpret conceptually what the title might mean. I will say it did have a cinematic sound to it, and because I'm thinking about ancient Sumeria, ancient Greece, I was imagining this piece playing while the exploring ships of antiquity were setting out from harbors like in ancient Greece and Anatolia and so on. So yeah, in that regard, I'm not quite sure how to take this. I will say it follows on the heels of the title track of this album, which was itself very non-pop music. It was definitely a more like art type of piece, art music, and this one feels even more like that. And yeah, it's string based. I am a big fan of string instruments, and we have both like bowed strings and also pizzicato, like pluck strings. But yeah, it felt like a chamber music type of arrangement, a few violins, maybe a viola, and a couple cellos. And again, I'm thinking maybe because of my comments about the title and its relation to, or its usage going back to antiquity, I was imagining a time and a place many a century ago, but I do wonder whether this is, well, like as I'm saying that sentence, I'm thinking about the phrase, the title track phrase, a light at the end of the world, the idea of, the seven seas extending off into the horizon in all the different directions, and at least, in antiquity, there being a great unknown factor, and some people thinking that eventually you'd run out of ocean and, fall off the earth. And even if a more spherical earth was understood, the idea of there being, lands, places, peoples that were as of yet unknown, and thus there was a degree of mystery out on the seven seas. So maybe the light at the end of the world is perhaps conceptually related to the title of this tune and maybe the atmosphere of this tune. Either way, a lovely finish to the album and a surprising one at that. And to be fair, this album has had a lot of sonic variety. Of course, it hasn't sounded like pretty much any of the preceding albums, which already went through an evolution. You know, there's that real new wave synth rock type of sound and the earlier stuff, and then eventually it was more like overt like synth dance, and you know, very different from the first couple albums. And then again, this album has had like blues rock and, you know, other stylings that are a testament to their sonic and stylistic diversity. And I get that maybe people who are fans of the earliest Seagulls albums wouldn't necessarily appreciate all that diversity, but I have found this album very compelling and intriguing in their larger discography. In any case, let me know what you think. I'll see what else is out there in their catalog in the moment. I don't remember what or if the next album is, but if there is another album, I'll see if I can get my hands on it, and we shall continue with the Seagulls. So let me know what you think, and I will see you then. Peace.